Hey everybody, I just wanted to record a short video to talk about two things real quick. One is that we're not going to really be reading much about this because we're getting close to the end of the term and we have other things to do, as I'll talk about in a second with the schedule. But I did post below this video in the announcement where I'm presenting this some links to stuff I've come across lately about Facebook. If you've been paying any attention to the news at all right now, the stuff is really hitting the fan with Facebook right now with the Cambridge Analytica stuff and how it affected the elections both in the US and in Europe and things like that. So it's really an interesting time to be studying social media like we've been doing. Unfortunately, this latest event is probably a little bit too late for us to dig into the readings too deeply, but I did still want to post some of those links, and if people want to chat about that at all, below, by all means. What I want to do here real quick, though, is talk in some detail about the last part of the class, because where we're at in the last part of the class is a little bit different than the order of things from the first part of the class, and so I just want to walk everybody through that real quickly. So take a look now. Okay, so here's the class homepage, and let me just scroll down to where we've been, or where we are rather. Along the way, there's been kind of a pattern of the way the classes work. Um, we do some work on things like a usability study, and we do some stuff like some discussions. We discuss materials that you've thought about for the education group and social media, and you're supposed to start working on your hypertext project. Okay, this has been the sort of like spent a lot of time talking about readings, some time talking about working on stuff, sometime in going back and forth. The last third, I guess, of the semester, because we're about here, the class really does shift to more working on stuff with some discussions of things that are led by some of the graduate students. So let me explain to where we're at right here. If you haven't posted yet about the continued, about the discussing of the of your pretext work or your pre-test work for usability testing, please do so pretty soon, because I'm really interested in hearing how that part of the project has gone for you. Just read a post there. You should start creating contributions to the Writing for the Web social media reader site. I've sent everybody an invitation to that. If you haven't gotten one, check your junk mail because it may be there. And if you still don't have it, let me know. There was a couple wrong email addresses I sent it to, so I can easily resend you that message if you need to. You were supposed to have by this week some information on what contributions you're going to make to the social media reader, and I've told people you can go ahead and just post those on the site. I'll get to some other deadline stuff in a second, but that's what's going on there. Next week, we get into the first round of graduate student presentations. What that means is that I'll add a couple of links for Emily and for V. They have both, like all the other graduate students, have interviewed somebody who's professional in the field generally, who they talked about some of the issues that we were talking about in the class in terms of social media, website development, and things like that. And you'll see what I mean when I set these up. But these will become the reading discussions for the last part of the semester, is talking about with the graduate students' interviews. Now we get into some due dates things starting about here. So the first round of usability testing in terms of the stuff that you need to do for your the pretest stuff, you need to have that done by March 29th. Also by March 29th, and actually that's really more or less a kind of a strongly suggested deadline, because you don't need to turn anything in for that. It's just that you need to have it done so you can work on these other things, and you'll be reflecting on that as part of the project for the final part of the usability, the second part of the text to hypertext project. The second Code Academy exercises and debriefing is also due on March 29th, that Thursday. So just to remind everybody about that, the first part of the Code Academy assignment was doing the HTML and CSS exercises. The second part of that assignment asked you to go find some other series of exercises to work through in Code Academy, stuff on JavaScript, another HTML, CSS thing, a different coding thing. And you don't actually have to present details about what it is that you did, but you do need to write and post to your Writing for the Web portfolio a 1,000-word or so essay about the experience. What was it like to learn HTML and CSS? What was it like to learn JavaScript? Is this completely new to you? Was this something that you've had experience with in the past? Did you find parts of the instructions confusing? Did you find parts of the instructions easy? Is this the sort of thing you can imagine doing more of in the future? Things like that. That's all I'm looking for, is a sort of like you telling the story about what it was like to do that assignment. Okay, that's due on March 29th. There's no peer review for that exercise. You just need to have it posted as a page on your WordPress site for the class, or writing for the web portfolio class, or writing for the web portfolio website. A lot of tongue twisters here. We're going to have more here in terms of more presentations starting on April 2nd. And we're also going to start the peer review for the final contribution of the Social Media Collaborative Reader and Reflective Essay about this assignment. So, here's what this means. By April 2nd, you need to have posted to the collaborative website that we've set up. This is the Writing for the Web Social Media Collaborative Reader website, where everyone has a link to a text that fits into one of the categories that we developed for the reader, and everybody has a description of what that link is about to share that with an audience beyond the class. And this is where you write also a reflective essay for this assignment. Now again, go back and look at the assignment, but again, this is basically a 1,000 or so word essay where you reflect on the process of the Social Media Collaborative Reader assignment. What did you think about learning more about social media? What was it like to find these readings? What surprised you or didn't surprise you about some of the things that we read? What was challenging about finding some of the readings for this? What was easy? Things like that. Also, what I'm really interested in, because again, this is an experiment, and I've said from the get-go there's going to be some bumps, and there have been, and I appreciate everybody playing along with it. What I'm also really interested in is hearing from you about what you would recommend I do differently if I were to do this assignment again next year. In other words, what parts of it did you think worked really well? What parts of it did you think not work so well, needed some clarity and things like that? That begins on April 2nd. Everybody by the end of the day is going to need to have an essay ready, and for that one we are going to do an organized peer review. There'll be some more details on that. We'll probably use Google Docs because it's easier to comment on each other's essays when you use Google Docs as for the rough draft, and I'll set people up in groups for that. But that's on April 2nd. By the end of the day of this week or so, you should be done with the second round of usability testing. So by April 6th at the latest, you should certainly be done with this. And that means two things. It means that first, you need to have actually a reasonably complete draft of your website done by about April 6th, so that you have something to show to other people to do the second round of usability testing. The second thing that means is that the second round is more formal. So you're going to actually meet with this person who's your user subject face to face. Again, it could be the same person you used for the first one if you're kind of limited in terms of who you can get to do this. But the idea is a friend, a roommate, someone who's willing to do this for you, anybody who can participate in that, and work with them and set up for that person while you're watching them work through it on a computer, some tasks that you want them to accomplish with your site. Okay, so in other words, what sorts of things, just like we did for the EMU website, what sorts of usability tasks do you want them to try to accomplish? Okay, make note of that. You don't have to record these sessions if you don't want to, although if you can, that's great, feel free. But you do need to take note of it, both to get your users' feedback, but also because this is something that you will be writing about in the essay that accompanies this assignment. Then we get into week 14. So the social media and collaborative reader reflective essay is due on April 9th. Essentially, that is the end of that assignment. So you will post as a page on your Writing for the Web portfolio and at your reflective essay, and on the Social Media Collaborative Reader website, you will have finished posting the 2 approved contributions with the introductory material for each contribution and to that site. Okay, so this is when that's all due. It's on April 9th. Also on April 9th, we're going to start peer review of this project, the usability text to hypertext project, really the second part of it, and also a little mini peer review, I guess I would describe it, of the Writing for the Web portfolio itself. So the peer review for this part is actually kind of 2 documents that we're going to be looking at, or 2 deliverables, I guess. One is the website itself that you created, that you made. You're going to be sharing with your peer reviewers a link. So in other words, you'll get another set of eyes looking at your website beyond just the usability testing that you've done. And also the essay that you write that's a reflection of the process. Okay, again, go back and look at the original assignment. But I'm interested here in how the first round of usability testing went, how the second round of usability testing went, what sort of changes that you made as a result of the usability testing, what kind of challenges did you face in converting a text, an essay that was meant to be read offline into a website that is meant to be used online? What changes did you have to make? What additions, subtractions, and things like that? This is more of a mini sort of exercise, because what we're going to be doing is essentially having a chance to give feedback to each other on how your web portfolios are set up. Because remember, these are two different assignments in terms of the grade. And so this is your chance to get some feedback from people on how your website is set up, how it's organized, the language on there, and how you're introducing things, all that kind of stuff like that. Okay. We'll start that peer review on April 9th for both of these things. This is done on April 9th. We'll finish that peer review the end of this week, by the end of this week. Certainly no later than April 13th. Probably I'll have a due date for that around April 12th or so, just to give people a chance to reflect on what they've done and get enough of it done ahead of time so they can make changes. Last week of class, last day of class, the second part of the first, actually the Monday of that last week is when everything else is due. So you need to be totally done with the text to hypertext project. That means the website itself revised, the essay reflection itself revised, and a link to the website that you made is going to be posted to your Writing for the Web portfolio. And your essay, your final version of your essay, is going to be posted as a page on your Writing for the Web portfolio website. And then, of course, the Writing for the Web portfolio itself is due on April 16th. Any particular changes or things like that need to be in by that date. Okay, so that's all we're doing in that week. The last day of classes at EMU is April 17th, so we have a little bit of wiggle room if we need it. And the end of time for the semester, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, is April 20th, 5 p.m. But essentially what that means is that if there's any sort of late work kinds of things, it needs to be in by no later than Friday, April 20th at 5 p.m. By the way, I should point out that because all this stuff is due essentially right before finals week, you will almost certainly have all the grade information from me and know exactly what you're going to get in this class by the end of time itself, which is Friday, April 20th. Okay, I hope that helps. And keep getting everything done. The end is near, so keep getting everything done. And if you have any questions or whatever, by all means ask here, send me an email, let me know what's up. Okay, see you in line.